The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor yourself, inner knowing, and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine podcast and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Hello. Today I have the privilege of reconnecting with Terra Dawn, one of our amazing contributors. She is a life strategist and business owner who helps women step into their power in two very special ways: through building heart-centered, joy-filled businesses and through deep healing work that reconnects them with their inner child. She blends her background in human services with her own healing journey, and she guides women to break free from self-abandonment, reclaim their worth, and trust life's timing. Her mission is very simple, yet extremely powerful, and that is to help women create aligned lives, soulful relationships, and richly fulfilling businesses. Welcome back, Terra Dawn.
Thank you for having me.
Today, we are talking about the February new moon issue, Fear, Anger, and Jealousy. And in your article, Sacred Messengers, What Fear, Anger, and Jealousy Are Really Trying to Tell You, you really go deep into what all three of those mean. But you ultimately guide us into a more compassionate relationship with ourselves and our emotions and how we've been taught to hide them. So for those who haven't read your article yet, perhaps share a little bit more about the article or even why you wrote it.
This topic I see a lot within my practice. So it touches to a core of every woman that I've ever worked with. And it is actually, every part of this article is a part of what I do in the Return to Innocence, my foundational program, which talks about nervous system regulation and talks about abandonment wounding. And one of the stages of abandonment wounding is rage. Well, rage comes in a lot of different forms. And when we talk about abandonment wounding, there's a lot of fear that happens with the unprocessed wounds of abandonment. And then the jealousy on top of that. If somebody's getting the attention that we aren't getting or want and don't know how to ask for because we don't want to be that too much, there's that fear that feeds in. Then we're guaranteeing abandonment. So really, when we look at fear, anger, and jealousy, they are in the tumultuous cycle that comes with abandonment.
Yeah, for sure. And so much of the voice of our inner child is really seeking safety, right? And I think that you so beautifully define all three of these things. So you say that anger is really here to talk to us about our unmet needs and boundaries. And jealousy is a disguise for the form of our desires, helping us point us in the right direction. And fear is that little inner child saying, help me, right? So when we look deeper at this, how can we stop shaming these emotions and start listening to them as wisdom?
It's a space of self-acceptance of humanness. When we can recognize that we are human, having a human experience. I think, even as parents, so this was shut down in us as children. We weren't allowed to be angry. We weren't allowed to have or speak our fears because they were ridiculous. So it started in that childhood era. Then when we moved into growing up and having our own children, we don't know how to handle those emotions. It's because we haven't stepped into acceptance of our own and our own humanness. There's so many of my clients that come to me that are absolutely numb because they don't know how to feel and they're scared to feel. They're scared to feel because it's like all I could picture in this moment is like the Niagara Falls. I'm Canadian, clearly. The Niagara Falls or the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam was to break. Could you imagine what kind of catastrophe that would be? And I think that's what we catastrophize in our mind, that if we finally allowed ourselves to feel, the floodgates would open and we don't know how to stop it. But that's exactly what needs to happen. We need to allow ourselves to start feeling again and quit numbing it out and passing it off as nothing. And when we really look at how we allow ourselves to feel, sitting in acceptance, this is how I feel right now, and holding boundaries, like allowing the inner child to have those feelings of emotion, allowing yourself to express them, and being the parent your child needed by telling other people, no, you don't get to shut down my feelings. This is my lived experience. This is what I'm experiencing right now. And we need to allow ourselves to have them, to process them. The unprocessed feelings is part of the numbing. And we have two ways that we can go in there. We turn to substances and addictions and all the thing, or we go the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And so I think it's really comes down to acceptance, and acceptance that this is part of being human. There's no badge of honor for stoicism. What comes with that hardened stoicism is autoimmune deficiency diseases and mental health issues and diagnoses of anxiety and depression, because that anxiety and depression is pent up emotion not felt. So when we sit in acceptance of being a human, having our emotions, and not allowing anybody else to shut them down, this is where the work really lies, is being comfortable in having those emotions.
It is time to rise. We are being called to stand behind independent voices, movements, and media that refuse to be owned. Sovereign Magazine has never spoken to an advertiser, a corporation, or a billionaire. We are a grassroots movement made for and funded by you. If you are ready to rise, to shatter ceilings, and to stand in your truth, do it with us. It's free. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share. Every click helps us reach more people around the globe, ready to remember who they are. Are you coming with us? Yeah, and a lot of people say, and I don't know where it originated from, but emotions are energy in motion, right? And so I'm really wondering what it can look like for us as we allow ourselves to feel rage or fear or anger or jealousy, any of these things to move through our body. How can it start to become healing versus non-constructive, right? I think there's a difference between us like spiraling out of control versus going on the healing journey. How can we do that?
Well, movement is always a good one. As before we jumped on here, we're talking about our workouts. Working out saved my life. It allowed me to move all of the pent-up emotion that I wasn't able to feel when I was going through some of the hardest parts of my life. And I'll just make note that it's 11:11 on my clock right now. And divine alignment, it's everywhere. And when we can learn to move it, whether that is going for a hike and getting in touch with nature, getting into physical activity, whether that is going and beating on a tree. My favorite activity in the fall is taking pumpkins that are all damaged and people don't want to buy anyway and taking a baseball bat and obliterating them. It's being able to do things in a way that, and I do it out in a campground because it helps the wildlife. So it's like one of those things that when we can learn how to move the emotion in physical form. The other thing that I talk about, and this is on the business side of things as a business coach, pour that energy into a fire under your behind to ignite the passion of the thing that you really feel drawn to. So that was the other thing. My business built while I was going through the hardest time of my life. Building a business and healing at the same time is no joke, let alone solo parenting in the middle of it all, single parenting in the middle of it all. And right through 2020 of all things, right? So it was stacked up, but I very much attribute my business development to the anger and the sadness and all of the things that I felt, and I poured it into my business. And it's pouring it into a passion project. It doesn't have to be a business. Owning a business for the faint of heart, but pouring it into something that you're passionate about and using it as a constructive space, not a destructive space. And I think that's a big keynote. And some of that comes from knowing who you want to be as you step into this and out of this anger. There's a lot of people that don't have an identification of who they want to be on the other side of this. And it's really important to identify who you want to be on the other side of it and allow that target point to be your navigation in how you conduct yourself. We don't want to have people getting charges pressed on them and all the things because they're using their anger and their fear wrong. Although that's why I think we see, and I'll flip the topic a little bit to our men. This is why we see such an uprising of violence amongst our men, whether it's towards each other or towards women. And it's because it's repressed emotion that they haven't been allowed to feel and they don't know how to feel it healthy.
And I think if we stop waiting, like you're giving everyone permission right now, and I'll just share my story. We were talking about workouts and I kept saying, oh, I'll go back to the gym when my daughter gets to high school. I'll have more time then. And then I just woke up one day and I was just like, why am I waiting? What is this arbitrary date that I'm like setting? Like, just move things around in your calendar now. You want to go now. The desire's been there for several months to get back into the gym. I used to be a huge gym rat with my husband. And now I don't even know how many months I've been back, maybe 4 or 5 or whatever. And it's just part of my daily routine. And like you said, my mental health is just, it's so much better. I was already walking and out in nature, but there's just something different when you are truly doing what you love. And I love lifting. Whatever that little niggle is, don't wait. Like I always say to people, why are you going to wait for the new year? You're going to obliterate your whole diet over the last few months of the year, and then you're going to have to be down on yourself. If you are ready to shed a few pounds, start now. I don't ever wait.
Right. Well, in the time of us recording this, recognizing when it's going to be released, I saw a post today about 22 days until the new year. And I'm like, who cares? It's a date. It's not like, poor January 1st, it gets so much pressure put on it because it's like, you're right. Why do we not, and even in my business coaching, I see a lot of this. And even in my healing coaching, I've had consultation calls in the last week. Oh, I'm going to wait till January. Okay. That's up to them. I can't move them out of that space. They've got a fixed space of that starting point. And I could if I wanted to, but I'm not willing to do that anymore. When I was a personal trainer in a past life, absolutely, I would push them to start beforehand because the statistics are so crazy about waiting until New Year's. But it's, to stay on the topic, it's like, you've got to give yourself permission to start now. It doesn't matter if it's Wednesday or Sunday. It doesn't matter if it's the 5th of the month or the 1st of the month. It doesn't matter. And starting now, people are always waiting. Like you said, wait till my daughter's in high school. Well, I'm going to tell you, I worked out all through raising 3 kids, and it was my sanity savior. I cannot imagine, not moving that energy, and I'm a better mom for it. And they've all adopted healthy habits as a result. I think this is the other thing, is our kids are watching us. Our kids are watching us learn. They're watching us learn how to have new habits, new behaviors. They are watching us learn to be more emotionally intelligent. And I'm not talking about logicking your way through life. I'm talking about actually learning to feel the feeling, actually learning to communicate the emotions, allowing ourselves to have the human experience. Our kids are watching. And when they watch us, they will pick that up any way you swing it. So if you're withholding anger, guess what they're going to do? And I think the wake-up call for me in this was my youngest, when I took him to daycare, we had a rough morning, and he actually told the babysitter that I don't have feeling because he had never seen them. I was numbing out, and I didn't know that. And when she gave me that feedback, I realized that, when we hold ourselves and our emotions in for when we're in the shower and let ourselves cry in the shower or close the door on the bedroom, we're actually doing our children a disservice because we're not teaching them that emotion is healthy and it's part of being a human. And so I think when we look at having our fear, having our anger, understanding it's all pointing to something. Jealousy in particular is pointing to a deeper desire. So how can you get the thing rather than sitting in a low vibration of jealousy? Because jealousy is a low vibration. It's a space that has a mindset that you can't have it. Well, you can, but maybe it just needs to be altered and shifted and strove towards. When we look at abundance or the fear side of things, there's another side to that. There is faith. And when we sit in surrender and have our faith, fear sits in scarcity. Faith sits in abundance. And when we look at anger, is really just something that is trying to come out. And anger is at the source of fear. There's something that you're afraid you can't have or you can't do, or the anger comes from something that was maybe taken away. In abandonment work, it's called the shattering. The shattering is that initial hit point of being abandoned or betrayed. And so when we look at all of these emotions, there's another side to them. On the other side of anger, I see deep discipline and initiation that lights a fire under our butts that can create success. It's what you decide it's going to be and what it's going to do for you.
This was such a rich conversation. So for anyone who is looking to deconstruct their inner child, their shadows, have more self-acceptance, embracing their authenticity, and perhaps you have some fear, anger, or jealousy, Terra Dawn is in our community.sovereign-magazine.com. All of her details are in the show notes. She is here to light that fire under your ass. She will not be afraid to do that. So thank you so much for being here today and talking about all of this with us.
Thank you so much, Nicole. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help you step into your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.